we'll start with Michelson and Stahl's experiment. This experiment was the proof that DNA replication occurs semi-conservatively, or the process of DNA replication is semi-conservative. Now first of all we have to learn the term semi-conservative. What is meant by semi-conservative mode of replication? See, in the case of DNA double helix, one of the old strand, which is known as the parental strand, this parental strand, during the process of DNA replication is a process by which the DNA divides to form new DNA molecules with complementary base pairs. So in the case of semi-conservative replication, see, the parental strand, the old strand, directs the synthesis for a new strand. That basically means that the old parental strand acts as a template for the synthesis of new DNA strand. That means half of the DNA remains conserved and the other one is newly synthesized. That's why the model of DNA replication is known as semi-conservative replication, and this was experimentally proved by scientists Michelson and Stahl. In 1958. During first days of classes, I told you that the DNA double helical model was given by scientists Watson and Crick, and after publication of their DNA double helical model, Watson proposed that DNA might have been replicated semi-conservatively, but this was experimentally first time proved by Matthew Michelson and Franklin Stahl by their experiments in 1958, that proves that DNA replication occurs semi-conservatively. But for their experiment, you have to learn a tool, that is they used known as equilibrium density gradient centrifugation. Equilibrium density gradient centrifugation process was used by Michelson and Stahl to prove that DNA replication occurs semi-conservatively. So first of all, we have to know the basic mechanism of equilibrium density gradient centrifugation. See, Michelson and Stahl used CaCl density gradient centrifugation, CaCl cesium chloride. Okay. So what they simply done, CaCl salt is a heavy salt. They used 6 molar CaCl solution. And when we centrifuge this 6 molar CaCl solution at very high speed, around 30,000 to 50,000 RPM for 48 to 72 hours, there are basically two fundamental properties. First is the centrifugal force, and second one is the diffusion. Diffusion of the salt. See, as the rotation starts by centrifugation, the CaCl salt gets at the bottom of the tube. Okay, due to centrifugal force that forces the salt to the bottom of the tube. But as diffusion is also an opposing force, diffusion causes the salt to move upward. That's why low salt concentration is present on the upward. And why this is called equilibrium density gradient? This is the main fundamental of density gradient centrifugation. But why it is called equilibrium density gradient centrifugation? Because it continues until a equilibrium has been established between the centrifugal force and diffusion of the salt. So this gives a particular pattern or band at a specific location based on the component of the molecules. That's why equilibrium density gradient centrifugation is used to mainly isolate the macromolecules based on their molecular composition, because each molecule forms a separate band on the basis of their density. That's why this is known as density gradient centrifugation. Any DNA molecule mostly forms band around 1.7 per centimeter cube. Okay, this is the basic gradient, density gradient in the case of any DNA molecule. So if there is a little difference in density, that can be measured by the equilibrium density gradient centrifugation, and this principle was used by scientists Michelson and Stahl to prove that DNA replication occurs semi-conservatively. Suppose this is a tube in which CaCl's density gradient centrifugation is formed. The DNA molecule which has a particular gradient at a particular point where the density of DNA equals to the density of CaCl, a band is formed. See, band formed by DNA. Remember this point. Many students know the basic principle, but they don't know that where the band is formed. Remember, the band always forms in a particular place where the density of the DNA equals to the density of the salt, and that appears in a pattern of a band. And basically, if there are certain differences in the density, that can be measured upon the direction or the distance between the bands. Clear? Now we will study about the Michelson and Stahl's experiment, how they conducted this. See, these topics are very easy. Most of you people might have read, but you basically have to develop crystal clear concept. You have to know what is equilibrium, why it is density gradient, what are the forces used. This all when you gather, then you get a crystal clear concept. So for proving this experiment, Michelson and Stahl conducted their experiment on E. coli cells. Okay, E. coli, the normal colon bacteria, E. coli. They grew E. coli cells in a medium containing NH4Cl for several generations. See, nitrogen is a must need for any microorganism for growth, because this is the only sole source of protein. The media that used by Michelson and Stahl to grow E. coli cells used NH4Cl as the sole source of nitrogen. But here there was a slight difference. As we normally know, N14 is the normal isotope. They used N15 in place of N14, which is a heavy isotope. So basically the cells that grown in that medium contained the nitrogen bases A, T, G, C, all having N15 isomer in place of N14. Clear this point? And now the DNA molecules were allowed to replicate. Okay? So in the first generation, the DNA is separated and performed density gradient centrifugation. And when the density gradient centrifugation was done, as this DNA contained heavy isotope, they formed a band. Okay, that is the band showed of heavy isotope. Okay, as it contains N14. Now this was simply allowed and transferred to another media that contains N14 as a source of nitrogen. See, first of all, they grown E. coli cells on a medium containing ammonium chloride and nitrogen heavy isotope N15. Then that DNA molecule after replication was separated and done to the equilibrium density gradient centrifugation when there was a band formed that was of heavy DNA. Okay, after that the cells were transferred to a medium containing N14, the normal isotope. In second generation, the cells formed were a hybrid that contained an N15 as the parental strand and the newly synthesized strand contained N14. See, that directly proves the semi-conservative replication. But as I am telling, this was proved by density gradient centrifugation, which gave two different bands. One band of the heavy isotope and another band which is slightly lowered due to low density. They see this band was formed by N15, this band was formed by N14. That directly proved that DNA replication process is semi-conservative. Now you can continue this for second generation, third generation, fourth generation and so on. And each time the 50% will be replaced. In next time if you go, you get 50% hybrid DNA. That directly proved what? That DNA replication is semi-conservative. That basically means one of the strand guides the synthesis of newly formed strand. And this was proved by density gradient centrifugation. Now remember the difference in density gradient. In the case of N15, the density gradient we found band at 1.724 gram per centimeter cube. In the case of N14, we find band at 1.710 gram per cm cube. See, there is only slight difference in what? In density, but that is enough to be measured by equilibrium density gradient centrifugation, and this was done by CSCl density gradient centrifugation, as the 6 molar solution of CSCl has density gradient centrifugation around 1.7 gram per cm cube, which is almost equivalent to DNA. That's why CSCl density gradient centrifugation was used. And elaborate diagrammatic representation you can see at the end of this lecture. I hope you understood the topic very well, as this is very important for NEET, CSIR, GATE, JAM, every aspect of biological experiments. So this was all. Michelson and experiment proved that DNA replication occurs by semi-conservative method, and this was proved by CSCl density gradient centrifugation. That's all for today. In next lecture we will study about DNA packaging. Okay, thank you.